as I passionately move and enthusiastically move forward into, film has touched my heart and been part of me since I was 5 years old. And I'm kind of just now owning that. And it's kind of my time to come into it. And I'm ready for it. But at the same time, I know I'm choosing my heart. Yeah. So the quote is choose your heart. And it's basically just tapping into, life not being this guaranteed kind of easy, perfect experience, and anything in life kind of takes some type of work or labor behind it, some type of effort within the execution.
Welcome to Relatable Wisdom, the podcast where real people share timeless ideas. I'm your host, Wisdom Okonkwo, and in every episode we dive into the philosophies, quotes, poems, and life lessons that shape how we live, think, and grow. No matter where you are in life, this show is here to remind you wisdom is everywhere, and it's always relatable most of the times.
Tell us your name and what you do.
My name is Tiffany Smith, and I am a professional, multifaceted, creative professional.
Welcome to the podcast, Tiffany.
Thank you.
What's the quote you want to share with me today?
Yeah, so the quote is choose your heart, and it's basically just tapping into, life not being this guaranteed kind of easy, perfect experience, and anything in life kind of takes some type of work or labor behind it, some type of effort within the execution. Any type of aspirations you have, any type of mindset goals you have, whether it's your nutrition or your professional life or your personal life, everything takes some amount of work and effort. So in the essence of choose your heart, it's hard not to go after the things that align and feel like they would harmonize your life. And it's also hard to work towards those things.
How long have you known this quote?
I would say I became familiar with it maybe roughly a few years ago.
Hard. I'm curious, right? The quote is very simple, straight and direct to the point. Could you share with us instances where you've had to remind yourself and say, well, I have to choose my heart. Is this the heart I want to take, or is this something else?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like I approach this kind of quote, or I kind of bring this to surface level kind of thought when I'm dealing with an intersection that consists of something like, if I choose to go this way, I'm choosing the instant gratification, and it would be kind of easy to make that choice right now, but in the long run, in long term, it's going to catch up to me again, and I'm going to have to continue to I might need to make the difficult or harder decision now versus wanting to make the easy decision. So, when I was moving to New York City, there was a point where it would be easy if I just kind of stayed in the house that I was living in and left it alone, but it would only be easy for that weekend, because that weekend I would not be packing boxes or worrying about moving anymore. But after a couple days, I knew I would still be wanting to move to New York. So it's kind of whenever, that's typically whenever it kind of surfaces.
Choose your heart. You mentioned that every decision has a difficulty associated with it, and we just have to realize and ask ourselves, what kind of heart are we willing to take on?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, a lot can be said too. Universally, a lot of people struggle with any range or element of their own health, whether it's their physical health, their mental health, their nutrition. People universally tend to kind of have difficulty with their overall health on different levels. So that kind of choose your heart really, really plays and leans into that kind of questioning that people kind of grapple with on a daily basis. If I choose to eat healthy today, it may mean that I get better sleep. Tomorrow I may have more energy, but it's easier to choose the junk food because it's right in front of me. So it's kind of like, it's a difficult decision either way. And if you're choosing the hard or, the work that you feel you're going to benefit from in the long run, that's probably the decision you want to lean towards, being that each decision, each side still has its own difficulties.
Yeah, I'm curious, Tiffany, has there been a time where There are times when it looks as though you don't have to make a decision, but eventually you, what happens is look as though you don't have to make a decision. It's like when you buy a new phone, right? Usually, most of the phones, the default language is like English, right? And you're like, oh, I don't have to set the settings. But most people, they're like, oh, I prefer it to in my own local language, maybe Spanish, their local language is, and they go change the setting and say, okay, this is the setting I want. But for most people, it's just English, and that's the default. And they're like, oh, well, I don't have to choose. And later on, they then have to bear the consequences. Have you had instances where at first it didn't look like there was a choice, even though there was a choice? But he just like, oh, I don't really have to choose. But eventually, you just looking back and you realize that I could have chosen. I just what happened was that the system gave me a choice by default. So there was no middle ground.
Yeah, I think you're touching on something really impactful that a lot of people experience, especially when we're young, right? Because when we're growing up, it does feel like there are a lot of choices that are kind of shifted onto us, and kind of, a lot of projection happens when we're young from our family and friends and just the adults that surround us, and kind of tell us what decisions we should be making, whether, we ourselves are trying to make our own decisions or paths in life. There definitely is that kind of difficulty when we feel like we don't have a choice, but when we look back, we can kind of unpack it a little bit and see that there may have been a choice we could have made. It just may have not been the easy one. And at the time, it felt impossible.
Yeah. I mean, in instances like getting married, that's like an obvious decision you have to make. But not all instances you have to like make an obvious decision. Like choosing to eat junk food every day. That's not like it's not like a major decision, but eventually the hard would be the consequences that you have to bear. And then later on, if you chose to live healthy, which of course is not like a major decision. It's more like series of days compounding. Like every day you have to choose that today I'm going to eat healthy. Tomorrow again, today I'm going to eat healthy. And for most decisions, they are like that, right? You have to choose every day. But for other decisions, you usually it's one big day. You just make that decision, and voila, you're into it, and you have to like live with the decision.
Yeah, absolutely. Some decisions are very, very profound and really, really impact our lives. And I mean, as you're kind of pointing out, if you're choosing to eat a certain way every day, yes, in the long term, 10, 15, 20 years later, you may see the effects of that, whether they're good or bad or somewhere in between. But you're right, especially, in our personal lives, especially romantically, when we choose a partner, that partner chooses us and we make a commitment. I absolutely went through that at one point in time where it would have been really, really easy to stay in a relationship that didn't feel authentic. And I ultimately had to make the decision for myself to move to New York and to get out of that situation. It is a decision that could have impacted me still today, right? And still today, I'm living in New York City. It's my 4th year here, and in a sense, I do acknowledge and choose this every day. It's kind of like,
Yeah.
Let's take a quick pause. If you're enjoying this conversation and want more thought-provoking ideas straight to your inbox, join the Relatable Wisdom email list. It's free, quick, and filled with bite-sized insights, inspiring quotes, and behind-the-scenes reflections from our guests. Just head to relatablewisdom.com/join. That is relatablewisdom.com/join, or tap the link in the show notes. And hey, subscribing to the podcast helps more than you think, and it's free. So if you haven't already, hit that follow button wherever you're listening. All right, let's get back to the conversation.
I think what you're saying is like we kind of wake up and we still make the choices of our lives every day. Even if we did choose that relationship or that marriage, we would still wake up and go through that type of decision.
Yeah, I mean, it's like getting a job, right? Even though you've gotten the job and you've accepted the offer to be on to work with the company, you have to like wake up every day and say, okay, I need to get ready to go to the job.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's a really great one to point out because when it comes to our professional lives, there are so many people that struggle with those choices every single day. There are so many people that dread Mondays and constantly live, looking forward to the weekend. So that's a big one. That's a big choice that people make on a daily basis is definitely like their Monday through Friday kind of
Yeah.
job life.
Yeah. I think one thing I've noticed that most people don't even realize is that most of the choices, right? Most of the choices, you're not locked in, right? You can actually change. Now, of course, there will be consequences, but you can actually change direction. Let's say, for example, I get a job and I realize that I don't like the job. Of course, the job pays well, but the culture in the company is terrible. The boss, everybody there, they just toxic. And every time I go to, I want to go to work, I have this anxiety. It's not great for my mental health, honestly. And in that situation, I could quit the job and go find something else. Of course, that will have its own consequences. It means for a while I'll be jobless, not know where the next job will come from. But instead of taking on that hardness, right, people prefer to say, okay, let's just stick around with the job and, let's just keep on going it. And I'm like, really, why? Why would you keep doing that? You realize that this is a terrible decision you made. Why would you keep on, like, why would you keep at this decision? Why not just make the changes, even though like, how do I put it now? Sometimes, in order to let go of pain, it hurts to let go of pain. Like, you have to go through an extra amount of high pain in order to let go of a baseline pain. But people are like, oh, but that will be temporary. But instead of going through that temporary high level of pain, you're like, this pain is not that bad. Let me just stick with it.
Oh yeah, that's beautiful. That's exactly you're hitting it, you're clicking into that quote perfectly. And that's a huge thing for so many people. That decision to leave the toxic work environment that just doesn't fit and it just feels abusive on some level and it's just wrecking your harmony and you're coming home and you're thinking about it and you're dreading every morning and every night is not even good because when you wake up you have to go back to that job and it's miserable and everything's just
Uh,
horrible. Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's like, you know what? Quit the job. It's not doing you anything and it's going to be hard to have that job. And you're right, it's going to be hard to leave that job too. So again, yeah, it's choose your heart. Choose your heart to leave the job, go through the temporary pain of that, and find your way through that kind of process.
yeah. Well, one of the things I've noticed is that certain times we are presented with decisions, right? And we, instead of making a decision and moving on and bearing the consequences of whatever happens, right? We stick around with a decision for maybe 2, 3, 4 months. And it's a decision you probably would have made a week and realize if you made a good decision or a terrible decision and then iterate and move on. We make 6 months and it's the same thing. Like, I'll give an example. Let's say I wanted to start a podcast, right? And I'm like, okay, I want to start a podcast. I get a mic. Great, awesome. 6 months into it, I've not even recorded an episode. Now, in that instance, it looks as though it looks as though I chose, I did not choose, but in actual sense, not showing up to actually record the podcast means I chose not to do podcasting. And it doesn't seem obvious like that because now you've done most of the things that seem like podcasting, right? And 6 months into it, you don't realize that you can never be on the fence. Either you're podcasting or you're not podcasting, and period.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's kind of like listening to your inner voice, right? It's like creating your authentic kind of decisions by listening to your own internal compass and having that type of alignment. So kind of like that I'm either a podcaster, this is my podcast, I love and believe this is my passion, or it's not for me. Like
Yeah,
don't stay stuck in the middle, kind of like gently in the in between realm of I'll give it a few months, I'll give it a few more days, one more year, da da da.
yeah. Well, I'm curious, Tiffany. The work that you do, like, have you had instances where you had to choose your hat? It could be probably firing clients. It could be, there are different kinds of hard decisions one has to make with in a professional life. And I would also be curious why you chose that, you made that choice.
Yeah, absolutely. Throughout my career, I've been really fortunate to be a creative director, a marketing director, and I've been in senior positions and I've worked with amazing teams and leadership and I've learned so much. And I have kind of had to recently kind of choose my heart being in New York City now in coming into my 4th year, I've now pivoted into the film industry. And as everyone would assume or guess, that's not an easy thing to take on. I've been super fortunate to have so much support, and the communities in New York City are just unbelievably amazing and gracious to so many people coming into it. But I know that no one said it was going to be easy, right? So
Yeah.
as I passionately move and enthusiastically move forward into, film has touched my heart and been part of me since I was 5 years old, and I'm kind of just now owning that, and it's kind of my time to come into it, and I'm ready for it, but at the same time I know I'm choosing my heart.
Yeah. Wow. Choose your heart. And then the other thing you said you want listeners to walk away with from this episode is be you. And I'm looking at that quote and I'm like, be you. And that's like one of the hardest thing to do
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
every forces, the environment, the people around us, they want us to be normal. They want us to be like them. And being you is like you have to exact energy. It's like the body trying to be a different temperature from the room temperature.
I love that. That's awesome. Oh my God. Yeah. That's exactly what it's like. The process of being you, right? No one said it would be easy,
Yeah.
but it's absolutely worth it. Yeah.
Yeah. And the thing with the body is that once it becomes one with the environment, it means that the person is dead.
Oh, wow. Oh my gosh. Oh, it kind of reminds me of when people talk about wanting everything to kind of stay in a perfect kind of frequency in their
Yeah.
life. And they're reminded that the heartbeat goes up and down. It's like if everything stays the same, it's a flat line. You're dead.
Yeah,
It has to
you're
go.
gone.
Yep. Yeah. But be you. Absolutely. It's
Yeah,
worth
yeah.
it. It's absolutely worth being you and finding your space and place in the world for sure.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you have to choose your heart. Do you want your individuality to be dead, or do you want to shine and in your awesomeness? The choice is yours. Choose your heart.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The choice is yours. Yes. You can
Yeah.
be you and choose your heart. It's kind of like you don't really have a choice, right? At the end of the day.
Yeah, yeah. You have to pick a side.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have to choose. You are choosing every day. You are
Yeah.
choosing.
And whichever way you choose, there's always a certain level of difficulty that comes with it. And the question is this what I want to take? I mean, it's like going to the markets. We want to make sure that whatever we're buying is worth it for us, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I could tell you, I don't know, let's just say an iPhone, right? I think an iPhone is about $1,000. But let's say an iPhone, and I was like, oh yeah, Tiffany, this iPhone goes for $100,000. You're going to look at me and say, well, does the iPhone allow me to communicate with with my future self?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
What dimension is this iPhone
Exactly.
connected to? Is it going to talk to another planet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
then the thing is that you still see people that will say, yeah, I like it. I'll pay 100 grand for it. It's not really a big deal. I'll pay $1 million for it. It's not really a big deal. But the question is, we want to make an informed decision, right? We want to know that, okay, yeah, I know what the phone can do, but it's not worth it for me.
Yeah. Yeah. At the end of the day, it's your choice. You have to make your choices.
Yeah.
We make choices all day. All the variables that go into the equation of each day. It's a choice.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you so much, Tiffany. It's been relaxed and effortless chatting with you.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. This has been such a beautiful conversation. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, my pleasure. You mentioned you're a creative professional. How can listeners work with you, and where can they connect with you?
Yeah, the easiest place to connect with me is probably Instagram. My creativity 22.
I'll put the link in the description so listeners can go check it out.
Oh, great. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah. I'm curious, Tiffany, do you have a website?
I do. Yeah, it's creativity.me.
Okay. 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 I'll add that to the description so listeners can click and go directly there.
Awesome. That's thank you. That's super, super kind of you.
Yeah, it's been an absolute delight chatting with you, Tiffany.
You as well. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I really.
You've been listening to Relatable Wisdom, and I've been your host, Wisdom Okonkwo. You've been listening to the podcast where every story, quote, and insight helps you see life a little differently. If you enjoyed today's episode, follow the show on your favorite podcast app and share it with someone who loved the conversation. For more inspiring voices and timeless wisdom, visit relatablewisdom.com. Until next time, keep living, learning, and collecting wisdom that matters most to you.